Hello everyone, my name is Alan, and today I'm going to be demoing ArcLive, which is why we had to switch over to a different computer that's powerful enough to actually run the demo that I'll be showing today. So, ArcLive uses 4K live streaming and machine learning technology to increase access to non-digitized historical documents by reducing travel costs by up to 50%. We help researchers access documents that aren't online on the other side of the planet. And we found a way to do it at half the normal cost. So to talk a little bit about archives. Archives are everything that you wouldn't find in a normal library. So these are non-published documents, your grandfather's handwritten journal. Everything that is important enough to not get thrown away gets stuffed in an archive. This is a picture of your average reading room. These are people working on historical research projects, writing books, researching whatever they happen to be researching. Usually you'll find between 5 to 50 different collections within an archive. Those are then stored in reading boxes. You see a few of them on the tables there. And the archives store literally thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of these documents just in massive climate-controlled warehouses. It's kind of like if you've ever seen Indiana Jones and the Ark of the Covenant, when they wheel the Ark of the Covenant in the warehouse. This is an archive. So most archives actually still pretty much look like this. They measure their documents in cubic yards because they don't know what's actually in the boxes. The Library of Congress has about 12 billion documents. They've digitized about 0.1%. And if you took every document scanner on the planet and started running them 40 hours a week, every week for the rest of time, you would maintain the digitization rate of about 10% for all total digitized content because so much stuff gets created every day. So that's the problem that we were looking to tackle. It's one heck of a problem. They've been struggling with it for about 25 years. Nobody has come up with a real solution. The problem stems from the cost of actually scanning an individual page. Let's say it costs $1 per page. They don't have the money to do that. But even when they do get grants, usually the real cost comes in managing the documents, producing metadata, hosting them online for the rest of time. You get recurring costs associated with that. But ultimately, one of the biggest concerns ends up being copyright. Anybody remember the Google Books project? Google spends $100 million to digitize 15.7 million books and then forgot about copyright, and the entire project is considered a massive failure. So that is the real hidden problem, that even when money isn't a factor, you still have to worry about copyright. And the results are that when you don't scan these pages, researchers have to physically still access them. And that means you're going to get on a plane, you're going to travel to the other side of the world. Usually archives with restricted funding have restricted hours. So the MIT archives are open from 10 to 4. I've heard stories of researchers who skip lunch for 5 days to maximize their time in these archives. And these are PhD level researchers, as well as the fact that they also have to worry about the copyright of when they write their reports, are they properly citing their sources to make sure they're doing it legally. So our solution is a little crazy. We call it controlled remote visitation. The idea is that rather than permanently digitizing documents, if you temporarily digitize them, that's considered an accessibility tool, which circumnavigates copyright under fair use. So to quickly explain it, as we're running out of time, traveling somewhere to conduct research is about $60 an hour. What we do is say, rather than spending that money on the flights and the hotels, let's create a sustainable research assistant job of somebody who goes to the archive and live streams the document in real time. They act as your surrogate. So you can research from home. We charge $0 up front, $30 an hour. And as we expand internationally, what you can do is you can take your travel budget and split it up to multiple geographic locations. Because right now, you go somewhere and you research in that location, regardless of how relevant those documents are. With a system like this, you can start prioritizing documents based on their relevance to your topic, which seems kind of obvious, but that's just not the way it's done. The idea is that most of our competition prioritizes documents out of copyright. What we do is we focus on everything else that isn't digitized. Now, it looks like we have a little bit of time left. Do we have time for a live demo? Can we squeak that in?
All right, yeah.
Sure. So I'm going to show you the back end. We're still in the process of constructing our front end. We use a program called vMix, which if we can get up and running here, And this is going to be what the research assistants are using. So I'm going to quickly open a preset. There we go. And so we're going to be slightly lower quality than normal. Oh, I was wondering if that would happen. So we haven't been able to live stream vMix. So I guess we're not doing a demo, just the interest of time. So that is because what it's doing is this is a problem we've been struggling with, is that when you run programs that use video cameras, a source can't be used in more than one location. So as an example, we're recording off of the desktop, which means this system can't record the desktop. That's one of the fun struggles of dealing with systems like this. Unfortunately, I can't show the live demo, but one of the questions that we frequently get is, how do you prevent people from taking screenshots? Now, my background is I was a researcher with the MIT Game Design Lab. Are we back? Is it? It appears I've permanently broken the projector. That's okay. We'll fix that later. But here, I'll show your laptop. What we'll do is, if anybody wants to see a demo, we'll do one after, right before everybody leaves, just so we can make sure to get all the other presentations done. One of the things that we've been able to do, the problem with live streaming copyrighted work, is how do you prevent people from taking screenshots? The video game industry solved this problem about 3 years ago. It's called alpha channel layering. So let's say you have, you could try it one more time, but I'm afraid I'll just break it. So, well, that's live demos, everything breaks. So what you do is you take watermarks, you take somebody's name and ID, and you plaster it over every square inch of their screen, but at very low opacity. And what that does is you don't notice it. The white page whitewashes it. But using different technology, the proper technology, you can actually figure out how that page was shared if it was, against authorization. So we're using that technology just in a different field. And yeah, that's ArcLive. Thank you very much.
So the research assistant, remotely have a device
that
be able to scan, so they need to wait at the...
That is correct. So this is our workhorse right here. This is the Elmo MX1. It's a $400 document scanner. It scans in 4K. And one of the things that we can start to do using, now that we're applying computer vision, is we can start extracting metadata from these documents in real time. We can start translating them to any language in real time. So, because usually you have to upload documents permanently in order for them to be translated. We can start doing sentiment analysis. So we can tell you how relevant a research document is while you're looking at it. So let's say you're researching John Smith, and your grandfather, who is German, and his name is Jonathan Smith, is on a page. We can say, hey, that's 92% relevant to your research topic. You should probably pay attention to that. So there's a lot of things that we can start doing, above the $30 per hour in the solution that we're creating here.
So if you hire the person, right, find out this document is not relevant, then how do you pay that? It's not it's under an hour. It's more than that.
So we aren't allowed to permanently digitize anything yet, and that's the yet, because archives are allowed to create authorized replications for distribution. We don't think they can assign us that rights. We're pretty sure they can't. So this is the next best thing. We're piloting this right now at the MIT Aga Khan Documentation Center. It's a Muslim majority heritage collection. Their foot traffic has been cut in half due to certain legislation preventing travel from Muslim countries in the Middle East. If only there was a way they could hire surrogates to go there for them, so that they could instead of going there in person. So that's what we're starting with.
So does the research institution purchase that?
Nope, we provide everything, because archives don't have any money at all. So we basically go to them saying, hey, we will basically come in, we will help your researchers get here. You don't have to pay for anything. Because when researchers contact them, what we need them to do is interject and say, hey, wait a minute, you don't have to physically come here. You can use the service and do twice as much research without having to leave and worry about leaving your family and taking hours off of work and getting a visa and getting kidnapped by a government and all the other fun things associated with international travel.
And then that person standing there turning the page.
Pretty much. Entry-level research job.
Wow. And you have to have good internet connection on these archive places as well.
Yeah, well, Comcast Business would be fine. You know, it's like 13 megabytes a second, so. I think that's all of our time. If you're interested in learning more, come talk to me. One other thing, so I run the Boston EdTech Meetup group. One last thing, this is completely unrelated to what I'm working on. We are having an event next week, next Wednesday, on solving big problems. We're having a panel featuring the CTO of Boston University, the CIO of Boston Public Schools, but we recently had a panelist drop. And we are looking for the third panelist to join the program, who is ideally the key decision maker who gets pummeled with hundreds of different technology solutions that most of them are useless to what they're actually trying to accomplish. That's our program topic. If you have any recommendations or know anybody, maybe your own CTO of the organization you're working with, who would be interested in talking on the panel, please come talk to me. Thank you.